Let me get a pen. All right, so guys, this is laid out exactly like your test. The way these questions are worded are the way it's worded on your test. So I want us to pay attention to that. All right, on number 1 it says find the ratio. If it says ratio, that means no words. Bananas to oranges from the graphic to the right, so that just means the picture. Write the ratio as a fraction in simplest form and explain its meaning. So I'm going to write my ratio first. So I have bananas is listed first, so bananas come first on top. So there's 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4. So I get 4 on top of, then it says oranges, so I'm going to do my oranges next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I like to check them or mark them so I know that I counted it, especially if I'm looking at a picture. All right, it does say to simplify. Please remember, guys, simplify just means pick a number that can go into them. So 4 and 12, I know I can divide them by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. All right, it was a ratio, so no words. All right, it does say explain its meaning. All right, this is that very simple sentence. Bananas and oranges are very, very different. I can't pull a banana out of an orange. So I'm going to say for every, and that was 1 banana, or you can just say for every banana, there are 3 oranges. Luke, did you have a question, or were you just trying to answer?
I have a question.
Yes.
Could you put 1 banana per 3 oranges?
You cannot, because we use per if we're talking about a unit rate. This is not a unit rate. So I want for every 1 banana, there are 3 oranges. Dylan?
Can we just stop the banana for every?
Yes, you can say for every banana, there are 3 oranges.
Does it say 1 banana for every 3 oranges?
Give me the whole sentence. Like, the whole thing. Okay. All right. Because we want to show both of them can repeat. Does that make sense? Because in a ratio, it's not just the one thing. They can both go. So I'm saying for every and there are. Okay. Number 2, find the ratio, which means no words, of limpets to snails, then explain its meaning. And it told me right here that we're using this chart. All right, limpets and snails. I don't know what a limpet is, but I know it's not a snail, which means they're different things. All right, so I'm going to put limpets on top. Here's my chart. A limpet is 14. Snail is on bottom, which it says on my chart. Snail is 18. All right, whenever we're writing a ratio, and it says right here, write the ratio in simplest form. We always want to simplify. So I'm going to divide these both. 2 will go into them. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Circle my answer because it was a ratio, so no words. Limpets and snails, again, they're different things. Can I pull a limpet out of a snail? No. So I'm going to keep them separate just like we did up above. For every 7 limpets, there are 9 snails. Y'all got to make sure I don't make any mistakes like I did on that key last night. Help me keep track of that, okay? All right, questions about 2. All right, number 3. Number 3 says find the ratio of snails to the total number of animals. So it's still a ratio, which means no words. Snails comes first, so snails, we just used that. Snails was 18 over the total number. How do I find the total? Add them all up. So I'm going to add them all. That's when you want to use your calculator. When I add them all up, I believe I get 52. Someone double check me on that. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to put 52 on the bottom. When I added them, it was everything, even that 18. Add all of them up, please. All right, we still have to simplify. Those are even, so I'm going to divide by 2. Remember, you can always do 2. If you can divide again, divide again. If not, then you know you're done. You can't always do 2, but they're even, though. Do 2. All right, 18 divided by 2 is 9. 52 divided by 2 is 26. Thank you. All right, ratio, no words. 9 and 26. Can I simplify that anymore? No. So that's my answer there. All right, now I have to explain it. Can I pull a snail out of these animals? Yeah, it was in the list, so I can take it out of them. So I'm going to say 9 snails. 9 snails, not snakes. Snails out of 26. What was 26 measuring? Just the animals. Remember, it's not the total anymore. 52 is the total, so 26 is just the different animals. Okay? Because it said the word total, that means we're taking it out of that. All right. Number 4, we go to a zoo. Petting zoo has 5 lambs, 11 rabbits, 4 goats, 4 piglets. We want to find the ratio of goats. So goats is going on top. It said 4. Over the total number of animals. Total number means I got to add them again. 5 and 11 is 16, plus 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24. Do we get 24? Okay, good. All right, now I need to simplify. And guys, look, it even says simplest form again. So we have to simplify. 24 and 4, what number can go into those? Chandler, 4. Thank you. Sorry, I know that someone beat you to that. Thank you for raising your hand. Dylan. All right, so 4 divided by 4 is 1. 24 divided by 4 is 6. It was a ratio, which means no words. All right, explain its meaning. Again, this top one was goats. Can I take one goat out of the other animals? Yes. So I'm going to say 1 goat out of 6 animals. Anytime you see the word total, we're going to be using the words out of every time. Logan?
You mean a goat out of 6 animals?
You can say a goat out of 6 animals or 1 goat. Either one is fine. Sarah Paige?
I said 1 out of 6 animals.
1 out of 6 animals is a goat is perfect. Great sentence. Okay? All right. Number 5. Guys, I want to put a little star here. We haven't seen one of these since last week, but I promise you there is one of these on the test, and I know that because I also worked the test yesterday. After making those mistakes on my key, I got a little paranoid, and I worked everything to make sure it was all good. So there is one of these on the test because I just worked it yesterday. Okay? A basket of laundry is being separated. It's going to divide 48 pieces of laundry into 2 groups, so the ratio is 1 to 3. If I'm splitting it into 2 groups, the first thing I'm going to do is draw 2 boxes because that's going to be like my picture. So I'm going to draw 2 boxes. I'm going to make them kind of long because 48 is a big number. So there's group 1. Now I draw another box, and this is going to be group 2. Okay? Group 1 and group 2. Have I split it into 2 groups? Yep, there they are. It says the ratio is 1 to 3. So every time in group 1, I'm going to put the number 1, and in group 2, I'm going to put the number 3. So I'm going to put 1 in group 1, 3 in group 2. How many pieces of clothes is that right now? 4. So I add another 1, another 3. How many pieces of clothes is that? 8. 1 and 3, which adds 4 more. Do y'all see I'm adding 4 every time? So that was 4, 8, 12. Guys, if I know I'm adding 4 every time, how long is it going to take me to get to 48? It's going to take me 12 times, right? 4 goes into 48 12 times, which means I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ones on the top. And how many 3s am I going to need? Zach? 12. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. What can I do to see how many ended up in group 1, Dylan? Right, what can I do to see how many are in group 1, Locke? Add up my 1s. There were 12 of them, so that adds up to be 12. What do I get when I add up my 3s? Alexandra? 36. So I got 12 that are in group 1 and 36 in group 2. How could I double check to make sure that's right? What could I do, Luke?
Just count over it again.
I can count over it to make sure I added them right. But what can I do to make sure that 12 and 36 are going to add up to be the right amount? Hannah? Add them, and what should they equal? 48. If I have 12 in group 1 and 36 in group 2, when I put them together, they should still give me all 48 pieces. Do they? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to write my sentence now. Give me a sentence, Dylan. You said you're ready with that?
There are 12
There are 12 what? Pieces of clothing. Let's see, pieces of clothing. And so there are 12 pieces of clothing in group 1 and 36 in group 2. I will let you take a little shortcut in that sentence. Once we've mentioned pieces of clothing, you can just add that to group 2. Yes, Chandler? If I simplify 12 and 36, I'm going to go all the way back to 1 and 3. So we don't want to simplify that, no. All right. If I simplify it, would I get 48 anymore? No. So we want to make sure that's our answer. All right. Alexandra, I saw your hand. Was that? It's IE probably. It is IE. That's what it says. Yeah. I before E except after C. Guys, that rule in 2nd grade, I couldn't get it. I still struggle with it now as an adult. I'm glad that y'all got that, though. Good job, guys. All right. I'm going to keep going. Number 6, cell phone. Tiffany pays $40 for 160 minutes of talk time. How many minutes of talk time does she get per dollar? If I see the word per, what is that talking about? Dalton. Unit rate. Excellent. And I'm going to write that down just in case you need a reminder. When you see the word per, that means unit rate, okay? These are the only types of problems where it doesn't tell you specifically what to do, okay? So if you see the word per, I just need us to understand unit rate. All right. So there's another little thing here that's different. It says per dollar, which means per $1. Where is my 1 supposed to be on unit rate? Chandler? My 1 on unit rate. My 1 has to be on the bottom, guys. Unit rate, we're always trying to get that 1 in the denominator. That's why we divide by the denominator. Money, you're thinking money, Chandler. Money is usually in the top. But if this says per dollar, where's my money going to have to be here? On the bottom. Remember I told you like 99% of the time money goes on top. Here's an example of when it doesn't. Okay? So I'm going to put my 160 on the top and 40 on the bottom because it said per dollar, and I need my 1 on the bottom. Are we okay with that? Okay. This is a unit rate, so what do I need to do next? I'm going to go ahead and divide by 40 because I'm trying to get a 1. Divide by 40, guys. 160 divided by 40 is 4, and 40 divided by 40 is 1. It's a unit rate, so I need words. 4 was talking about minutes. 1 is talking about dollars. Okay? Since it asked my question in a sentence, I'm going to give it an answer in a sentence. How many minutes of time does she get per dollar? I'm going to write over here, she gets 4 minutes per dollar. The way that I will grade this on the test tomorrow, your original fraction is 3 points. Your rate, which is right here, the 4 minutes and $1, that's 3 points. And then your sentence is going to be 2 points. Okay? Dylan? Per dollar, please, because they said how much does she get per dollar, so I want to answer per dollar. Okay? Mateo? At the end right here? No, we have to spell out the word dollar, unless it's going like a dollar sign in front of a number. Okay, yes?
Is the test going to be like this spaced in?
There's more space on the test. All right, this was just to give us plenty of practice problems. All right. Number 7, a train travels at 558 miles in 3 hours. At this rate, how far does it travel per hour, which means I'm looking at unit rate. All right, so I'm going to put my hours, since it says per hour, hours go on the bottom. So I have 558 over 3. Since 3 is on the bottom, 3 is what I divide by. 558 divided by 3, Dylan? 186 over 1. Again, if it's a unit rate, I'm going to put my miles and hour. Answering the question, how far does a train travel per hour? It travels 186 miles per hour. Again, this sentence is not super long, just writing out that sentence to make sure we know what's going on there. That is fast. All right, number 8. Number 8, it's talk. This one kind of combines that stuff. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Number 8. Number 8, it's similar to what we just did. It says 28 stops every 2 hours, but this time we want to know how many will it make in 3. And we want to know how many will it make in 4. Well, guys, just a minute ago, didn't we find out how many a train made in 1 hour? If I can change it to 1 hour, then could I find out 3? And if I can change it to 1 hour, then could I find out 4? So we're going to do, again, I'm going to do unit rate. And then after that, I'm going to multiply. So this is kind of like what we did on Tuesday this week, okay? So I'm going to do unit rate, which means 28 goes on top, 2 goes on the bottom, because what am I trying to change? My hours, so hours has to go on the bottom. When I change that to a unit rate, dividing by the denominator, I get 14 over 1. So remember, now that means 14 stops in 1 hour. Y'all agree with that, right? So 14 stops in 1 hour. I want to change it to 3 hours. So I'm going to multiply times 3. If I do it on the bottom, I do it on the top. So that gives me 42 stops over 1 hour. 3 hours, thank you. That's why I made my mistake yesterday. So 1 times 3 is definitely 3. Good catch, guys. Thank y'all. All right. I also need to know 4 hours. So what am I going to do for that? 14 over 1 times 4. Do you see how I'm having to go back to that one with the 1 on the bottom? Times 4. 14 times 4 is 56 over 4. So that's 56 stops and 4 hours. So it stops 42 times, or 42 stops in 3 hours, and 56 times in 4 hours. Again, just writing that sentence out. Again, guys, this is where you're going to get your main points from the work. That sentence is 1 or 2 points on each time, okay? All right. Number 9, determine if they're equivalent. Determine if the rates are equivalent. If it says rates, I need words. So I'm going to start with the 20 and 45. So I get 20 on top, 45 on the bottom. All right. If I'm making them a unit rate, I'm going to divide by 45. All right. So 20 divided by 45 using my calculator. I end up with 0.4 repeating, so 0.4. I'm going to put a bar over 1. Remember, the bottom was talking about the students. What's the top number talking about? The ones that went to the concert. So attended concert. Okay? And then I need to do 12 and 25 as well. So I'll do 12 on top, 25 on bottom. Dividing by 25. 12 divided by 25. So I get 0.48 this time on the top and 1 on the bottom. So again, that's still students. And that's still the ones that attended the concert. Okay. Are these equivalent? No. So then I'll just write no. They're not equal. The way these will be graded, this rate, 3 points. This rate, 3 points. That little bitty sentence, 1 point. Okay, because the big thing is that work. Yes, Dylan? Yes. Yes.
So you can't just put no, not equal.
Right, I want you to say they're not equal because we are explaining that these two are not equal. Okay? Next one, we have 78 and 100. Dividing by 100, I get 0.78 over 1. The top is talking about the ones that are correct. The bottom is talking about the questions. All right. Then the next one says 39 and 50, so same thing. 39 over 50, dividing by 50. 39 divided by 50 is 0.78 over 1. Writing in my word, questions and correct. Are these equivalent? Yes. They're equal. So we're kind of going fast. I want to make sure we can get through the whole thing. All right, flipping it over. All right, remember I will be posting this video, so if you do get behind, you can go onto the video. All right, on number 11, we're using this chart. Chart's already there, so I'm just going to go straight and look at it. Can I go from 1 to 4? Yes, I can do times 4. If I do it on the top, I'm going to do it on the, if I do it on the bottom, I'm going to do it on the top. So 2 times 4 gives me 8. So that means my answer, how many tablets do you need to disinfect 4 quarts? You need 8 tablets to disinfect 4 quarts. All right, on the next one, this time it says I want to go from 160 to 2. Now guys, those numbers might be a little bit large for me. If you can use those, that's fine. What I'm going to do is I notice they both end in 0, which means I'm going to just divide these by 10 real quick. 4,000 divided by 10, that gives me 400. 160 divided by 10 gives me 16. Now for me personally, going from 16 to 2 is easier. 16 divided by 8 is 2 if I do it on the top. If I do it on the bottom, I gotta do it on the top, so I'm going to do 400 divided by 8, which is going to give me 50. So now I can tell how much money will it lose. The store loses $50 for 2 copies. So there's my $50 that we were looking for. All right, number 18 says we want to use a ratio table. So I am going to draw out the table since it says to use a table. All right, it says Luz earns $400 for 40 hours. Use a ratio table to determine. So I'm going to put the money over the hours. So I put 400 on top, 40 on the bottom. I'm going to leave some space to do work if I need to. I'm changing it to 6 hours, so 6 has to go on the bottom because that's where my hours are at the end. All right? In my head, can I change 40 to 6 easily?
No.
No, but I can change 440 pretty easily. I can divide those by, I can divide them by 10, so let's do divided by 10, so that gives me 4 and 40. So I divided by 10, divided by 10, and I'm going to give myself a little bit more space, because can I go from 4 to 6 easily? No. So guys, I just split that box, and now I'm going to do another step. 40 and 4, what will that simplify with? Lock? I can divide it by 2, or I can even divide this by 4. So I'm going to divide by 4, divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 40 divided by 4 is 10. Now can I go from 1 to 6? Yeah, to go from 1 to 6, I'm going to do times 6. If I do it on the bottom, put it on the top, 10 times 6 is 60. So she earns $60 for 6 hours of work. Okay? Number 14. All right, guys, please don't pack up. On a test, Matilda answered 12 out of the first 15 problems correctly. At this rate continues, how many of the next 25? Do you see how it's asking about problems? That means problems goes on the bottom, so I put 15 on the bottom. Step 1, this is where we do that dividing, make it a unit rate. 12 divided by 15 gives me 0.8 over 1. I'm wanting to change my problems to 25, so then I do my times 25 times 25. When I multiply that, that's going to give me 20 over 1. That's the number of problems. That's the ones correct. So she will answer. I did times 25, it's 20. She will answer 20 correct out of 25. Down here, I see what you're saying, 25. I got you. So that should have been 1 times 25 is 25. 25 problems. Okay? Yes, Kelly.
You know, when you asked Jacob if he had to hold.
All right, so looking at number 15, we have Hawks. The Hawks soccer team won 12 out of 14 games. If this rate continues, how many games will they win if they play a total of 21 games? So again, it says games in the question, which means games goes on the bottom. So when I look at that 12 and 14, I'm putting 12 on top, 14 on the bottom because my games has to be on the bottom. Next step, make it a unit rate. So we're dividing by 14. 12 divided by 14. When I type that into the calculator, we get a really long decimal that looks kind of funky. So I get 0.85714. I'm going to put ... because that's going to keep going. Guys, if I get a weird decimal in my calculator, remember we do not clear it out. I'm just going to set it to the side. On the bottom, 14 divided by 14 is 1. So now 14 games has changed to 1 game, which I want to change again to 21 games. I'm going to do times 21 times 21. So now I'm going to pull this over again. There's that funky fraction that I've gotten, funky decimal, and I'm just going to hit times 21, not clearing it out or anything. And that gives me that nice answer of 18. 1 times 21 is 21. Remember, 21 was my games. If it says, if this rate, y'all see where it says rate? That's telling me I need words, right? So I put games there, and 18. It says 12 out of 14 games. Oh, they won 12. So 18 is going to be how many they won. All right, I'm going to write that sentence now. How many games will they win if they play a total of 21 games? They win 18 out of 21 games. And your sentence might not be exactly like that. That's okay. We could say they will win 18 games if they play 21 games. All right. Number 16. At a harvest, 16 ears of corn are being picked for every 18 peppers. If 9 peppers have been picked, how many ears of corn have been picked? Makes me think of Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers. Okay. So in my question, it talks about peppers, which means peppers have to go on the bottom. Remember, if that's in the question, it goes on the bottom. So 16 will be on the top because that's my corn. 18 on the bottom because that's my peppers. Again, I'm wanting to change it to peppers, so I'm going to make a unit rate. So divided by 18, divided by 18. When I do 16 divided by 16 divided by 18, I get a repeating decimal of 0.8, repeating over 1. Remember, we don't clear that out, leave it just like that. I'm wanting to change my peppers. I changed it to 1 pepper. Now I want to change it to 9. So I'm going to do times 9, times 9. Again, just using that like it is, times 9 gives me 8. And 1 times 9 is 9. Again, the bottom number was my peppers. And the top number is the corn. Okay. Answering my question, if 9 peppers have been picked, how many ears of corn? So I'm going to say if 9 peppers have been picked, comma, 8 ears of corn were picked. You can see there's that answer, my 8 ears of corn. Okay. All right, last one. At a roadwork site, 20 cones are placed along 50 foot of road. At this rate, how many cones are placed along 35 feet of road? If feet is in the question, feet goes on the bottom. So when I look at 20 and 50, I'm putting 50 on the bottom because it's feet, 20 on the top because it's not. All right, now that I have that set up, I can divide both top and bottom by 50 to get a unit rate. So 20 divided by 50 gives me 0.4 over 50 divided by 50, which is 1. Remember, this was talking about my feet. I changed 50 feet to 1 foot. Now I want to change it to 35. So I'm going to do times 35 times 35. 0.4 times 35 gives me 14 over 35. 35 was talking about feet of road, so I'm going to put feet. And then 14 must be talking about the cones that are going on the road. So those cones that are on the road when they're doing construction, like we have out here on that Thompson Road. All right. So how many cones are placed along 35 feet of road? I'm going to say 14 cones are placed along 35 feet of road. Again, seeing where I wrote my answer. Oh, that wasn't my answer. 14 cones is my answer, but it goes with the 35 feet from the question. So just making sure we have those together. All right, guys, if you can answer all these comfortably, you're ready for the test.